Yo,
What up?
what it do? Y'all already know what it is, man. It's the Life Be Life and podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Of course, if you're really a boy and girl, turn this shit off. It's too old for you, too grown for you.
Yeah.
And those who identify as others, welcome back to the Life Be Life and podcast. How you doing? We missed y'all.
How you
Welcome
doing? How your mama doing?
You know what I'm saying? Nah, for real. We are glad to be back here with you guys. Glad to have you guys back. Thanks for, joining the ride. If you haven't been here before, hey man, welcome. Welcome.
Hello.
You know, it gets fun around here. It gets fun around here, okay?
Yeah, we fun
It's
people.
fun around here. We fun people.
You gonna like us.
Um, so, get comfy. We're gonna be here a while.
Yeah. Kick your shoes off.
Kick your shoes off.
Come kick it with us.
So, of course, I have to do introductions every time I do a podcast. So, introducing none other than my lovely, thuggish, and wise co-host. You may know her as Big Mish. You may know her as Mimi the Goddess,
Hey.
but you don't really know her at all.
Okay, y'all. What I said
You know what I'm
last
saying?
week, one thing you don't know is me like that.
You feel me? None other than Mish. What up, though, sis? What's up?
What it do, bro? How you be today?
Man, I be. You know what I'm saying? Fortunate to be.
Well, listen, you ain't never lied about that because I'm trying to tell you.
Shit. Different around here.
Listen, what we say, life be
Life
life.
be life. And of course, y'all already know who it is. It's your favorite coach's favorite coach. Ask about me. You hear me? Splash Charles, Coach Splash.
Yeah.
Y'all already know.
Your favorite
Welcome.
coach's favorite coach. You know what it is?
Welcome. All right, we ain't going, bullshit, y'all. We're gonna get right to it. We're gonna start off with our touch and go topic. And there's definitely controversy around this, and we don't touch so let's just get right to it.
As a black woman, I gotta tuck my head right quick because boy, I might catch a little heat.
Oh shit! I ain't got the future blindfold. I ain't got the future blindfold though. I ain't got my misogyny coat.
Sensational.
Yeah, we definitely gonna touch real quick on the as you may know, or may know and not care, or whatever have you. The self-styled relationship guru. You know what I'm saying?
Consultant.
He listen, that was actually his job. People say, oh, the so-called imaging coach. No, that was the man's job.
That was what his title was.
You know what I'm saying? And social media phenom. Well, hate him or love him.
That man famous.
Hate him or love him. Yeah, me.
He got rich off gas because he was gas.
Yeah,
a lot of y'all was with it.
So, nah, for real though, y'all already know who I'm talking about. K.S. Mr. Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, sir.
AKA the Godfather.
The Godfather.
And look, what was surface? Y'all zaddy. I was like, oh, y'all playing too much.
Man, listen, this whole thing, man. You know what? Say what you want about him. He left a huge footprint. In terms of building your brand, in terms of monopolizing on the moment, in terms of speaking your part and being ready to die on that hill. No pun intended. He definitely made waves. Like I said, whether you fuck with him, whether you don't, whether you're different. I don't know how deep of a rock or hole you had to be in or under to not have heard his name or the topics in which he spoke about. But he was an advocate for men. He was an advocate for Black families, for marriage, and he was a member of the what they call the Black Manosphere. Not sure if he was officially Red Pill, but that's a whole thing in of itself. And the thing I want to jump ahead and get to, because like I said, you could Google it, man, you could YouTube it and find the stuff he's
Yeah.
talking. I ain't really down to rehash all that. But definitely, he's infamous among women um, for his critiques, for his comments about whether they are worth marriage, and whether they are able to attain this quote unquote high value man. But I personally want to speak on the vitriol and bile filled hatred I saw in people celebrating that man's death. I don't know what views you had to have for me to celebrate your death outside of you literally having views that I have to be able to see the hurt, to see the impact in which it
Yeah.
caused for me to be, happy about you dying.
Ugh.
Like, it had to be really no good coming out of it for a set of people for me to feel that way. And unfortunately, I feel like most of the women that feel that way, is because, yeah, his darts hit them. They fell into where he was talking about. I just can't wrap my head around um hating a person who, if he was doing so much damage to the female community, why y'all didn't focus on keeping females and women from participating in what he had going on? Because this is a man who wasn't famous for over 2 years when he spoke specifically and directly to men alone. Like, to men and men alone, he had not made it yet. He had not. He hit his stride all because of one video talking to a woman who called at the wrong time. Ever since then, everybody found out who he was. That's not like that was his first time talking to a woman. He talked to several women before that. But after that, boom.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, without women's participation, uh, whatever Kevin Samuels to be, he couldn't have become. He would have still been in the same shadows. So to hate a man who, like I said, was fueled by the same women you feel as though he hates and, puts down, I just feel like that's misplaced.
Hmm.
I feel like that hatred is misplaced. I feel like that energy is misplaced. Um, you can say, oh well, he gassed up the Dusties or he hyped up the bums.
Yes, the
Uh,
Dusty.
that's not true because he called bums bums.
I
Um,
mean, he did. He gave men the business too.
but even if that's how you feel, to celebrate his death says a lot about you as a person. Uh, it says your petty knows no bounds.
Man.
It says that you are willing to be bitter in order to feel like you're right. And it says that you put entirely too much energy into this man.
So that's where I agree with you. Um, First things first, I am someone that heavily researches things before I speak on them. Don't spend as much time on social media as I used to, but by happenstance, I come across a lot of shit that is very beneficial for us and our, topics of discussion on this show. And ladies, please don't blow me down, but I'm not one of those females that necessarily hated that man. And the reason why I didn't hate that man is because, as you said, I was not one of those females that fueled that bullshit that he spewed about women being leftovers after 35 if they're not married and have kids, ladies that weigh a certain, weight won't ever get a high value man. I didn't agree with what his, take on a high value man was. I just didn't feed into the, Godfather, talk. I just didn't. But I'm not the kind of person that feeds into what the folks on social media, pretty much red light and green light, because I red light a lot of that shit because it's not for me. You're not talking to me. You know what I'm saying? You can green like that shit all you want. It's red light for me. Stop. I'm not even following any of this because we touched on it, you know, on the Two Kings a lot. You know, him is like, we're not about to talk about this nigga and give him no shine. That was always our stance. And so I feel like females that called in, you know, we said it before, they were kind of looking for that clout and they didn't like what came about. And he would give dudes a business. I told somebody, we was talking about this on Friday on my birthday. And I was like, yo, he literally told this dude, you not considered a high value man. You fat, your dick small, you don't make enough money, and you got 3 baby mamas. Like, that's something he would tell a female, right? But I think we as Black women, we get so much thrown at us that everything that is said in a negative light, we take that shit and run with it, where we really should stop feeding into that shit. I mean, I think Black women have proven that we are kind of superior in a lot of ways. So whatever, like, why are you listening to this Negro? I'm capping.
You're into who?
I said a lot of ways. I didn't say people.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's why I said I'm not capping.
That's why I tilted my hand like.
Yeah, but you know, I don't ever say anything that I don't stand behind.
That's a fact. That's why I waited before saying anything. I never
said we're superior to men, but we're superior when it comes to a lot of things. Women are kind of super women, right? So why would you listen to this Negro? And the reason why I'm gonna say why women should not have fed into that bullshit is because what surfaced was a video of this man when he was an image consultant and literally talking directly to men. He specifically said out of his mouth, if I was to trash and bash women, Black women specifically, I would be famous. What did we say his whole play was? He was running people down because it was getting him likes, shares, follows, views, retweets, all of that. So let's not act like we don't see it every day in the social media world where people fall into fame and they do whatever it takes to get to the top. So yes, that man sacrificed himself by talking shit about Black women to get famous. And you silly little females, that's as nicely as I can put it, y'all fed into that shit. When y'all should have been like, unfollow anybody that reposted this shit, delete anybody that posted that shit. I'm not responding to that. I'm not playing that. I'm not watching that. I'm not liking that. I'm not commenting on that. But no, you dummies, you fed right into it and y'all gave that man every single bit of airtime that he didn't deserve. And y'all was hot under the collar about it. For what?
I won't even say he didn't deserve it. I think he deserved every last minute because he clearly worked for it.
And you know what? You're right, because he worked the shit out of these females. You about something terrible about this man. Now you got every fucking comedian, and a lot of these comedians can't stand in their ass because they are so negative. They say some shit that be making me cringe, and I come on my mouth crazy wild, and I'm like, everybody talking shit about you. And now this man that died, you done got out here talking crazy about him. Girl, ain't nothing good gonna come to you. God is going to strike you down. Listen, Kevin Daniels, rest in peace. I am sorry your fame, was not long-standing. I'm sorry that your life was cut short, and sorry that you were with a female that you didn't consider high value. That's how you died, driving your 2009 BMW and renting a room. These are the things people are saying. I'm not saying that this is how I feel, but what I have to say is you have to be careful about who you take seriously. Like the person he was renting a room from for $900 in Atlanta, put all his business out there. Oh, he was renting a room. Look at this room. Look at his car. Like, y'all fed into this shit. Like,
I mean, listen.
Into this shit. Like,
all those things are easily explainable by somebody who either wants to explain it or somebody who's willing to hear it. But I'm not finna do that. I'm not finna do that.
I ain't finna do none of it.
I think you're justified because it is what it is, and you're going to receive it however you want to receive it. The one thing I will say The one thing I am going to comment on, because I've heard people say, "Oh, well, he was with the woman that wasn't high value." Okay, so this is exactly why he is who he was. He was who he was.
Right.
This is exactly why. Because even in his death, you are speaking incorrectly on what he put out there.
I mean, she was a nurse,
Women
right?
are out here writing entire think pieces since that man's death and using the woman who he was found on top of as the nail for his coffin. Oh, well, she's not high value. She's not high value. She's not high value. At what point in all of his clips and recordings
did he say he wanted a high value
he
female?
wanted a high value woman?
I mean, truth be told, I was wondering if he even wanted a woman, but that's neither here
People
nor
have
there.
spoken on that, right? But the man literally said to multiple women that a high value man might date you. He's definitely going to fuck you, but he will not marry you. So even trying to get him on his way out to make him sound like a hypocrite because of the woman he was with, he literally stuck to his own code.
I mean, exactly.
Rented this room out, rented this vehicle out, and rented this woman out.
Pretty much. And this is why I say,
y'all no attachments.
Stop taking these celebrities seriously, because they really not about the shit they talking.
You can't sit here and air out this wife that he said he has that's ugly, that's overweight, that's all these things that he said you had to do to be a wife. Yes. And he literally has spoken on that. So this is what I'm saying. Like, even trying to sit there and make sure you get one more on the way out, you'll still end up proving the man point post-mortem.
Yeah, I don't.
That y'all don't listen, and that y'all can't handle the truth. And that's crazy, because he said so much shit that was wrong. Like, did he say things that was right? Absolutely.
Yeah, but he was dead wrong about so much shit.
Absolutely.
Like, why y'all listening to this man? What value does this man hold to where everything he's saying is important enough for you to take heed to?
My thing is this, right? I've heard somebody say, take the meat, leave the bones. I've literally watched some of his live streams from back to front. And there's never been a single live stream where I agree with everything he said.
Never.
But I took the meat and I left the bones.
Right.
Anything where it made sense to apply it to what we talk about, I ran with it. Yeah. Anything that he was big on quoting his sources. Like, that's one thing I take from him.
Yeah.
Now I'm literally going to make sure to double check and research that. If I say, well, the majority of this based on this, cool, I'm gonna have the source cited.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, because it's credible. I mean, that's all you gotta do.
Do the research and keep it credible, right?
But I just say, I'm a big researcher. I don't take nothing nobody say from Grano Salis. I do my research, and that is what it is. And I think people should start doing that more often instead of just listening to everything somebody say out their mouth and deciding what their end all be all opinion is going to be on the shit right there, because this is how you end up hating people like that you really probably are giving way more weight and attention and time and energy to than you should. Like, I mean, I'm sorry that man died. I'm sorry that stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Stage 4 Hodgkin's, right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I really am. I don't ever want to see nobody lose their life. I mean, I hope he went out happy. Clearly, he was doing something that was making him happy.
I'm about to say.
But y'all are spending so much energy dragging this man, and really just let that nigga die. Y'all ain't doing nothing but making him even more famous.
What Freddie Gibbs
cares about him at this
point? What Freddie Gibbs say? We don't mention Dead Op's name. We let their name die. Okay?
I'm trying to figure this out. But yeah,
if you hate that man so much, the easiest way to whoop his ass is to ignore him. I literally did the same thing with the rainbow hair rapping snitch. Okay, I'm not even gonna say his name now.
There you go. I'm like, why are y'all giving this dude attention?
And the more people that stop paying him mind, the more he has now to come back out here and try to do shit to get validation because the money drying up, the sales drying up. Nobody cares anymore.
So they got act stupid.
So he has to find something new to get into.
Yep.
He has to beg this person for an interview to try to tell his story.
It's always shock value, right?
Here to try to tell his story. He has to get with a new gang, okay, to try to go get more attention because his talent cannot sustain him.
It's always about shock value. And people are always willing to run with some shit that's shocking.
And the best way to beat somebody whose platform has heavy shock and heavy controversy is to ignore them. As much as I punched on that punk ass, bitch ass, nut ass Derek Jackson, after a while, I just stopped posting the Panda Commander shit.
I ignored him all the way.
Because it was the best way to not give him any burn.
That's another piece.
Every repost is money in their pocket. Every share creates more followers for them. Because you sitting there dissing them, and there's 5 people on your page that's like,
what he about? Let me go see.
Let me go. Come on. You doing the work for him. You a recruit.
It's simple math.
You part of the street team.
Yeah, you the promo. That's what you are.
You know how many people actually didn't know who Kevin Samuels was till he died and saw these women out here celebrating his death?
A lot. I was so shocked.
You know how many people that went back to watch these videos? Even post-mortem, you put money in the motherfucking pocket.
Yeah.
But you hate him so much. That shit is so backwards. And that goes to my second point of what I learned from him. Active listening. The power of active listening.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice you make. And the more you actively listen, the more you can tailor your approach.
Yeah.
That man cut off women a lot of times in these conversations. But before he got to the point of cutting them off, he let them talk. So he could find what he was going to use later
on. Yep. It was almost like being a therapist. You sat there, you listen, and then you say some shit, and they're like, But just 5 minutes ago, what you said was, I was like, y'all so stupid. Why y'all?
He lined you up.
And knocked you down. That's our phrase on this show. Let me line you up and knock you down.
You hear me? He lined them up, and they come running in face first. Why they can't punch the one? How many times a nigga got to punch on me before I stop showing up?
Yeah, I don't get it. I really.
Debo ain't gonna whoop my ass 3 times.
Yeah, I feel like they should have just let that man die when he died.
That would have been the best revenge. That would have literally been the best revenge.
Yeah.
Leave only his fans and followers to comment and don't say shit. Act like the nigga didn't exist.
Too much like right.
Too much like right. Because people act funny when death comes, man. People act weird.
Man, grief is, man, I done learned over the last couple of weeks, man, grief is something else. It's a motherfucker.
It is.
It's for so many reasons, man. Like, I don't know. I think I kind of want to, I feel like our, life be life in moment could hold, but I feel like it ties into the topic for tonight. Because
let's get into it, man. Let's segue right on into it, man.
So life be life, and like finding out that your significant other has been struggling with grief, low key, and they didn't feel comfortable speaking on it because they had never experienced grief like that before.
Yes.
So, my birthday is the 13th. Art's birthday is the 8th. And Mother's Day. Shawty been getting railroaded for like the last 3-4 years on Mother's Day weekend. Normally it's like a flip-flop for me and him, right? But I don't know. The government keeps saying Mother's Day landing on your birthday weekend. So this year I was like, oh, he turning 40. Y'all not about to do dirty. Like, so it was like, we were planning a Mother's Day brunch, and I was like, hey guys, y'all handle the mother stuff. I'm gonna handle stuff on this end because it's about to be a joint celebration. And it's funny because, I got his favorite cake. And he loves giant strawberry shortcake, except I don't get that jelly glaze on the strawberries. He just wants the fresh strawberries. But it's made with yellow cake. It's hella moist. It's one of the best strawberry shortcakes around. Judge your mama. I love it. And
Yes.
half a sheet cake got punished by 10, 15 people, okay? It was
Dang.
supposed to serve 40 people. But fast forward, we were singing happy birthday to him. You know, we had to do it, you know, sing the black version.
Of course.
And, you know, I'm like a recording or whatever, right? You know, his mom, she never really comes out. So she came out because it was Mother's Day and his birthday. I'm like, fuck them. And I was like, oh, happy birthday. And I meant happy Mother's Day. She was like, my birthday? I said, well, it is your birthday. It was the day that you birthed your son. She was like, leave it to my intelligent daughter-in-law. I was like, whatever, lady. Happy Mother's Day. Happy birthday. So it was really like a good moment for him because she was actually out the house because she's been very afraid to go anywhere since COVID. And she was there for Mother's Day because I don't know what it is. And we'll talk about this another day. But these mamas be acting like you don't do something for them on Mother's Day, they're going to fucking die.
Yes.
And maybe because I'm not a mom, I don't understand. But I'm like, listen, if I push the baby out of my cooch after carrying them for all them weeks, you better celebrate me every motherfucking day. And not just know one day the government mandates you to do so. Bitch. Okay. But anyway, listen, I don't play that shit. Don't be Valentine's Day and me on the 14th. Bitch, all year round, I want flowers. Bring me candy, all of that shit. Romance me. Anyway, video recording, because you know, my family is so super simple. We dancing. And after stopping the video, I noticed that he's crying. And so I didn't say anything about it in that moment because, you know, I've just learned some things are not always up for debate or discussion at that very moment. So like later that night, I was like, hey, come see me. And we were just talking. I was like, so, you know, did you have a good day? And he was like, I really did. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so I noticed you were a little emotional. And he was like, yeah. And he like sat down. And I was like, well, so what was that all about? And he was like, ever since my cousin was killed, I have just been thankful to see another year because he isn't here. And I was like, wow, like that happened 5, 6 years ago. And I was like, I did not realize that that hits you like that. He was like, yeah, I just don't want to talk about it. You know, it comes and goes in waves. And of course, it wasn't my moment to get into what grief really looks like, right?
Right.
And so that's Sunday, his birthday, Monday, therapy. And so like later that evening, checking in, hey, how therapy go? Did y'all talk about what we talked about yesterday? And he was like, yeah, we actually did. And I was like, okay. I said, so do you want to talk about it? Because, you know, obviously men don't feel like they can talk about grief, right? And he was like, you know, Denisha, I just really miss him. He was like, now I understand why you have struggled for so long with the passing of your grandmother. He was like, at first I could never really understand why it bothered you so much. He was like, but me and him were really close. And of course, you know, I knew that they were close, but because he lived in South Carolina, you don't get to see that everyday bond, right? Vice when you live close to your cousins or your, you know, siblings or whatever. And it's just like, I told my therapist, I was like, I feel like I missed the mark because I didn't realize he was struggling with that kind of grief. And now I understand why he didn't understand my grief for all this time because he had never really experienced death of someone that was so close and important to him. And I just was like, damn, like two things. Why men feel like they can't talk about grief. And, you know, it went back to this whole y'all only get 2.5 emotions happy, glad, happy, mad, and zero point 0.5 of sad because y'all don't get sad because if you're sad too long, you were seen as a punk or weak. Yep. And I just was like, yo, like, damn. So, you know, my
that's a Battle of the Sexes 2 Kings 215 episode.
Check it out. Go check it out. We were spitting hot fire on that Joe, and I was like, damn, I didn't even realize this is what really be going on with men. But, you know, I talked to my therapist about it, and she was like, I don't think you missed the mark. I think men just don't feel comfortable discussing those things because it makes them feel or seem weak, and men are not allowed to be weak. And I said, I really have to change the dynamic of this shit because I'll be sitting here just thinking about my grandmother, bust out crying. He'd be like, "What's wrong?" I'm just thinking about my grandmother. Y'all don't get to do that, and I feel like so disheartened by that because life is tough enough, but for y'all not to be able to really dispel the fact that y'all grieve, that shit sucks. And I feel, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you emotional. I'm so sorry.
Nah, it's just
but to
I
see him emotional, like
you know
I was just like
just like your husband's my brother, so just knowing he went through that
exactly.
and knowing I'm going through grief of my own and knowing that that's literally like
It's like, tell me how many times you've seen
that's what we
Cheryl
have to
cry
do.
in your
That's what
entire
we have
life.
to do.
How many
Twice.
times, like exactly.
And I've literally known him since 2000.
And I'm like
22 years. Yeah. 22 years.
Yeah, so
for him things that happened to him since then, and I've seen him cry twice.
2 days in a row.
And only once was it like that, like a cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, wow, like good grief. Like that should be the name of this post. Good grief.
Book it. Call that.
I just feel so bad. And it's just like, God damn, life be life is so bad that you can't even fucking grieve properly.
That's real shit.
I feel so bad for men.
Yeah, that's real shit.
I really do. Like, life be life, and like people in your life are grieving and you don't even know it. And it makes you feel like you are not doing enough to be there for those people and stand in the gap for them because they don't feel like they can take a down moment to figure that shit out and wade through their emotions and their feelings and really go through the whole process of grief. There's a whole process. Child, 20 years later, I'm still grieving my grandmother and my aunt. Mostly my grandmother because we were so close. But it's like, I gotta live that grief for my aunt because of my little brother. Well, she's my cousin, but I call my little brother. And to see like how he misses her daily and like what had to transpire in his life to make him okay with that. And then like my mom grieving her mother and her sister who died 6 months apart. Yo, it's fucking crazy to me.
It is
fucking crazy. And then to, be there for you and your situation. But give me your life be life a moment, and then we're gonna get into the topic because I'm about to slide all the way in.
Nah, man, it's really that. It's really that. It's really that, man. Like grief definitely looks different for men. It does. It does. Like me and Ace was talking, and he's like, bro, you like one of the strongest people I know, man. You done suffered a lot of loss within the last 3 years, and I don't know how you manage it. And I'm just like, me neither.
I'm getting by.
Like, as they say, but God. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
damn.
I can honestly say that, and it's kind of weird. I don't know how to phrase it, but it's like, I think because I keep going through these losses, it's like, unfortunately, my wife has become battle tested in dealing with me and how I deal with grief.
Yeah.
Like, whereas in my mom, on the other hand, I love her to death. Love her. Don't know what I'll do without her. You know what I'm saying? But she can't take me dealing with grief at all.
Yeah.
Like, I overheard her asking Waki one time, why does Nari deal with that so poorly? Like, me and Nigel, we deal with it so well. And I'm sitting there like, well, first of all, you actually don't know how well your youngest son deals with grief the way you think you do.
Yeah, people put on fronts.
But as far for her and how she contextualizes grief, I don't like, Mom, I hate to say it, but you're one of the reasons we don't show emotion. And it's not that you didn't allow us to. It's not that she didn't allow us to. Like, she was one of them women that like, oh, well, you can't cry about this or nothing like that. I'm not saying my mom was that woman at all. It was the fact that she didn't show it. You know where I saw my mom cry? Church. The Holy Spirit has caused my mom to cry more than anything I've ever seen in life, no matter who died. I lost my, same way you said it's taking you so long to grieve your grandmother. It's taking me so long to grieve my grandmother. I was just thinking the other day that I have to go ahead and do the ALS challenge to bring awareness and try to, you know, get some fundraising going for that, for you know, in my grandmother's name. But just like I never saw, like, I think I said something that hurt my mom's feelings, and her eyes watered up a little bit. She was going through something with her husband, and her eyes watered up, and she cried. But like, I've never seen my mom boo-hoo outside of church. Never.
Yeah.
No matter how many people she's lost.
Yeah.
No matter what's happened in her life, I've never seen my mom boo-hoo.
And you gotta think about where that comes from.
I didn't boo-hoo for so many years. All these peers and classmates and friends that I lost to violence, all those things, I didn't boo-hoo. You know, it's like a little sad. I'm sitting there. I want to be left alone. Give me some peace and quiet. And then I'm probably going to do something, like I'm going to the court to go shoot the pain away. I'm going to go spend some money on comic books. I'm at the arcade beating the fucking, you know, computer down, or, you know, somebody who keeps putting a quarter in is going to be my victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me hop in some yams. Like, and then, you know, as far as I know, I've processed it. I'm over it. But then it's kind of like losing grandma broke that the fuck down.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a certain type of death of a certain someone to really show you what grief can do to you. I don't know, like, you know, I'm not a very emotional person. And I didn't grow up like you know, getting a lot of affection or emotion, or, you know, being able to, well, my parents always allowed us to express ourselves, but I don't know. I think losing my grandmother was the first toughest loss I ever had. And maybe it hurt because we were so close. And then, like, my aunt 6 months behind her, and the way it went, that made it even more difficult, because now, you know, it's like, okay, so now my little cousin really just got us. Like, he was literally with my grandmother because of his mom. Now his mom is gone, so it's us and his dad. So it's like the grief from that was crazy. You know, like, I literally just lost my grandfather in January. He's my last living grandparent.
Right.
And I could tell that how grief has evolved me, because I just kind of was like, I just want to hurry up and get this over with. It's almost like I reverted to how most men respond to it. You know, and I know Art kept asking me, are you okay? You okay? You okay? And it was like, I think I had 1 week where it was just like, well, no, because I remember telling you guys in a finale episode that entire month, I feel like I cried every day. But I think it was more or less me grieving the fact that that was my last living grandparent. But also, I came to end that because I was like, I don't really have to go through any more major deaths. So I kind of was like, wow, I can kind of let some of this grief go. But I know it doesn't work like that for everybody. Like, this year probably was the easiest year. February made 20 years for my grandmother's passing. My grandfather died in January. You would have thought that I would have been like done. Like, Art sent me a plant this year for my grandmother's 20th, and I was just like, oh, this plant is so beautiful. Thank you. Little But normally, oh man, I've been messed up all week, all week. But nah, I wasn't. And it's like I sat and thought how long it took me to deal with that grief and what I had to go through to like process it. And it was like I remember a lot of times I used to say or get upset because I felt like art wasn't keeping track of those important dates in regard to like my grandma was passing, like the day she passed, her birthday. And I just was like, does he not understand how important this is to me?
Right.
And that's when I realized men do not process grief the same way women do because of you guys 2.5 allowed emotions.
We're really not allowed to.
Yeah,
We're really
y'all
not.
really
Like,
not.
if a dude broke down and got depressed every time somebody died, if a dude broke down and started crying every time somebody died, he'd be looked at different. Plain
And
and
I think
simple.
you're right. And
Plain and simple.
I think that's crazy
And
because
it's crazy as fuck when you think about it.
it is.
Because I think Tim, shout out to Tim, Tim Brooks, I'll talk if you listen. Check him out.
Dope.
He had told me a story of because he's a Freemason. He had told me a story of how he went to a funeral for one of his fellow Freemasons,
Mm-hmm.
and the deceased man's son like kind of darted off during the funeral, and Tim had caught up to him later, trying to give his condolences and stuff. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of rushed, out the way earlier. I just didn't want people to see me cry." And he's like, "Nah, that's crazy." That he thought that he had to hide him crying about losing his father
Yeah.
at a funeral. My nephew sitting there, trying to do trying to do the proceedings or whatever at my sister's funeral,
Yeah.
you know, like you could hear his voice cracking at certain parts.
Oh my
And
God.
it seemed as though like he was fighting it so hard because my nephew is definitely one of those, strong silent types.
Yeah.
He's not giving off tons of emotion or tons of reaction towards anything really.
That's most men.
Big introvert, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this, public display of emotion, you could tell it was troubling him. And he was trying to fight it so bad, like not just to, get the program done and over with,
Just
like
that he
that
didn't
was
want his
part of
people to
it.
see it.
But it's just like, yeah, I can't be doing this in front of y'all.
You know why?
And I can't do this in front of my little sister who has this pain on her as well.
Yeah. So in with my grandfather's passing, right? My uncle used to live with us, and he's out on his own now, thank God, and we try and keep him there. And I feel like he took my grandfather's passing very difficult. And he's probably the first male that I've seen outwardly display emotion and not care. And so I feel like I had to stop my mom and my brother with yeah, he's still crying every day. And what is that all about? And I'm like, oh my God, y'all are those people. Y'all are those people. My uncle cried all month because the funeral was like late January. He died January 3rd, COVID protocols, all that. He didn't die from COVID, but because of COVID, they have all these protocols you got to go through now to bury
Right.
someone. We didn't
Facts.
bury him until like the last weekend, the last Friday in January. I mean, my uncle boo-hoo, snotting it, everything. His coworkers came. They talked to me about how he had been breaking down every day at work. They were having to send him home because he was so, beat up behind it. And of course, my uncle, you know, he drinks 211s. Let's just leave it at that. And we know more liquor is that shit. And of course, he's never one of them people to go to work drunk or anything. But I think
Right.
like he was so like upset one day. Somebody had gave him a volume to calm him down because he had drank the 211. He was out of it. They
Mm.
had to drive him home. When I tell you, my uncle to this day still calls me crying. He's gone to grief sessions. And I think that shit has opened up a can of worms for him with a lot of stuff with him and my grandfather and that he didn't deal with. My uncle called me one night, talking about wanting to harm himself. And I just was like, fuck, like he's a 52-year-old male who is outwardly showing grief and his emotions behind it and what it's doing to affect him. And people are like, okay, get over
Cut it off. Yeah.
It's been months now. And I was just like, I had to tell Art, I said, I can't handle that by myself. I need your help. I need you to try to talk to him as a man. Because I know I'm very gruff. And I'm just kind of like, listen, Bobby, you have to continue to get help. You have to continue to do this. You can't do that. And it's like, it's I know, but, and I'm just kind of like, I know, but you my thing was grieve, but you have to still carry on in life because you still got to go to work. You still got to pay bills. Yep. And then Art was like, Denisha, I don't think you're cut out to handle that. So it just so happened, only because it's like, in my mindset, I want you to grieve, but you can't come back here. So you can't not go to work. Because if you don't go to work, you can't pay your bills. You're not moving back in. So it just so happened that Art ended up having to stay behind one evening. And it was like Bob, he had called me, talking about harming himself. And the next weekend, we was taking the kids duck pin bowling. Well, Art ended up having to stay behind. And he was like doing the taxes and stuff.
Okay.
So Bobby came through and he was like, yeah, your uncle fucked up. I'm taking him to get something to eat. We got his taxes straight. I had a conversation with him. I told him he could start calling me. And I'm just like, thank you, Jesus, because he probably needs another man to talk to. And now I understand why it was so easy for Art to step up, because he's dealing with his own grief low key. So he probably was able to say, look, without having to tell me, okay, because we talking, this is like April.
Mm-hmm.
Without having to tell me, yeah, I'm still grieving so-and-so. I think about this person and cry all the time, but I got to get up and keep going. And it's okay to have those moments. There needs to be more of a support system for people to openly talk about grief, openly express how it's affecting them, be given the space and the grace to deal with it. And, people in your life need to be able to pick up the slack for you so that you can grieve. Yes, I know I'm Superwoman. I know I'm doing the dishes. I know I'm cooking. I know I'm cleaning. But look, I'm having a very tough day. So if you could just help me out. And you need to be able to just let people say,
and that shit hits you in the middle of doing these,
fucking out of nowhere,
these meaningless chores or these routine shits that you do every fucking day.
Bruh, I'm standing at the sink washing dishes, like it's crazy, and it's okay because I'm a female.
And that's the thing.
But it's like, let a man do that. No, let that man cry. Rub that man back. You need me to go get you something? You need a moment? Like, we need to start having more compassion for men to grieve.
And the crazy thing, and it's like we're supposed to get numb to it, especially men who've lost a lot of people. We're expected to get numb to it. Like, this ain't new to you, you know how this goes. But it's like, not everybody has the same standing in your life. Are there certain losses that I was able to deal with far better? Yes. But nobody was grandma. Like, nobody is Toya. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is Hiram. Like, I coached a bunch of kids. I mentored a bunch of kids. But me and his relationship was different.
Yeah.
Like, this was a kid I was up to talking. Me and him both work security. Me and him on the phone talking to each other through 3 a.m. shifts. You know what I'm saying? My man, he's calling me when he leaves. So like, it's not the same as what you just expect everybody else.
Yeah.
Or you know, yeah, I knew this kid and he unfortunately was shot and killed. It's sad, whatever, all that. It's easier for me to process that loss than this loss.
Yeah.
There's other context around it. He had a baby coming on the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just got the flyer the week prior to the baby shower.
I remember you telling me.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Nasir. Like that, I lost a friend because he did his job. And him doing his job may very well be why I'm alive today to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Like that shit weighs, and I still work in the same building.
Yeah, that shit heavy.
I walked through the same doors. I walked past the same spot. I saw his body.
Yeah.
So me, his other friend Mario, who worked security, who was pretty much damn near on the scene. Like had he come out 2 seconds earlier, we'd have lost Mario too. So like he has to deal with that. On top of that, he just got he just had to go, you know, he's gonna end up if that guy goes to trial, he's gonna end up being subpoenaed to testify. So he has to relive it again.
Right, which is more grief because you gotta relive that shit.
You know what I'm saying? And again, he worked security the same way Nasir worked security.
Yeah.
They just was two different companies positioned in two different spots.
Yeah.
And knowing that you was that close, but they took your friend instead.
It's tough.
That survivor's guilt that you have to deal with.
Oh, that's
you know what I'm saying?
That's a whole.
And it's like, fortunately, there's a couple of people that's really care about Mario. That's really like, you know, oh well, you know, so forth and so on, so forth and so on. But in most cases, us men don't have that.
Yeah.
We don't have that support. We don't have that environment. The people who care about us and love us want us to bounce back as soon as possible because they can't take us being down. They can't take us being sad. Shit, I was just saying on Facebook the other day, like, yo, I can't take me being sad all the fucking time. Like, I'm looking at myself like, nigga, stop crying.
But
like,
I think that's because
that shit hurts.
Y'all. Yeah, it's conditioned to make y'all feel like it's something y'all shouldn't do. So,
but it's not even to me like it's something I shouldn't do anymore. It's like literally, it's a draining experience.
Oh, it is very draining. Like
that shit really leaves you crumpled up. Like, you know, people be like, "Oh, I got a good cry, y'all, let it out. I feel like a weight is lifted." No, I feel heavier. I feel heavier. I now need to ball up. I gotta lay down. I need to catch my breath. My heart start beating all crazy. Like,
hey, I don't know about you, but all my nose be stopped up. I can't breathe.
Feel me?
I be like, I hate this shit. Like,
yes.
I hate it. And you know, I used to be that person that didn't like to cry in front of people. And I was like, if you see me crying, it's because I'm mad and you better move out my way. But now it's like, no, I have a lot of emotional responses to people's feelings. Like when you were telling me about your sister, I was in tears because I was like, my friend, my brother, my family, my homie, my co-host is hurting. And I was like, it is funny because when Art and I were going to therapy together, every time he would cry, I would get all, she calls it tender. And she was like, that's how you guys know you have a connection because anytime he's hurting, it hurts you. And I was like, that meant something because it's like, where is the compassion for the people in your life that are struggling with these issues? Like, I can't see Art cry. I'm not gonna lie. I can be so pissed off at him, but if he cries, I'm going to tear up and cry because it's like, I care about you and I don't want to see you cry. And I know you're hurting and I wish I could take that.
You know what's funny? I'm the exact opposite when Monica cries. You want to know why? Because she's you. And if I start crying because she starts crying, she's going to stop crying because I'm crying.
Oh, man. Yeah. I can't help it.
And she's going to start worrying about me.
Yeah.
She's going to feel bad that she made me cry.
Oh, I don't be feeling bad. Like,
but I'll be like, nah, like, so I need her to process herself. I need her to get those emotions out. And there's been times where it's like, she's going through what she's going through. And it's like, I'm going to just cry later.
Yeah.
You I feel bad. It's bothering me going through what she's going through. Like that shit, it'd be frustrating, it'd be sad, it'd be all these emotions. But it's like I know that she's, that sensitive, you know what I'm saying? That even if she's crying because of what she's going through and I start crying, she's gonna get distracted and feel like she's harming me somehow.
And I think that's and that's what I was getting at. It's like that connection, you should be able to have an emotional reaction to the way someone else is feeling. That's how you know you love someone.
Right.
And it's just like, don't feel bad for that. Like, and I think that's part of, allowing someone to be emotional and allowing them to grieve and show that you understand what they're going through. And like I told, I was telling my therapist, I was like, it's just really about having compassion and empathy and sympathy all wrapped in one. If you don't have those things, you cannot understand why someone grieves the way they grieve, why they, show their emotion the way they do, why they hide the emotion the way they do, why they filter the conversation around their grief the way they do, why they feel like they don't want to burden people with those feelings, because it's almost like, I don't want to put that on you. But like, nah, put that on me. Like, you're heavy. Give it to me. Like, let me take some of that weight off.
Let me help.
And it's like, I think the fucking funny part about it is people so self-absorbed in this world now. That's why folks are more afraid to show their grief and emotion than anything, because it's okay, well, that time has passed. Get over it. Let's move on. It is what it is. But we have to understand, not everybody operates like that. And especially like,
sometimes people can't.
Because sometimes people
can't. Going at every other situation, and this is a situation where they can't.
Yep. And I feel like we need to stop that shit, because I think it's such a detriment to our people and our society, to the relationships we, try to foster with people.
That's why people out here having strokes. That's people out here having heart attacks.
Fuck. Okay. Oh my God.
That's why people out here committing homicide, suicide. I'm always remind people, Black men have the highest suicide rate of all races amongst men.
They sure do. And I think they try to act like that's not the case because they don't want to show men as weak, because, to kill yourself is weak, right? That's
and even some of that, I'm about to say, you took the words out of my mouth. A lot of times that's looked at as, oh, well, he took the easy way out, or he took the scary way.
No, motherfucker, he took the hard way out, because
what? It's some of these homicides that's the easy way out.
Exactly.
Because you rather be off the streets. You rather go to jail and be off the streets than deal with what you got to deal with out here.
Yep.
You'd rather have to worry. You'd rather get into a whole shootout because of who you shot than process your emotions.
Yep.
That's not tough. That's some weak shit.
Yeah. So
it takes more courage to go to therapy and actually talk about what it is you're going through. That's hard.
Yeah.
It takes courage. It takes boldness.
It does. And
because you have to be vulnerable in front of somebody. It's not just humble. You have to be vulnerable in front of somebody else, which is what we've been trained
not to do. And that's what I was going to say.
Especially somebody that you're paying.
Yeah. Who don't know you. But you know what?
Or you got a dog in your fight.
Listen, but them some of the best people. Like I tell you, my professional best friend, I love her. I wouldn't trade her for the world. Like I said in one of our previous episodes, I got bumped down to once a month, and I don't know if I'm so happy about that. But I mean, it shows progress, right? But it's matters. I feel like I need that because you're keeping me, from going off kilter. But I commend every male out here getting help, talking to someone, sitting with someone and sitting with themselves, sitting in their shit, talking about their shit, because that's not easy to do.
It's not.
At all. And I feel like the more we advocate for that, the more we make it okay for men to express their emotions, divulge their feelings, you know, wade through their grief, the better off we're going to be. Because I mean, yeah, women, like I said before, we're so superior in certain ways, but I feel like, we could be equally, superior if we allow you guys to be able to have some of the feelings, thoughts, emotions, responses, and reactions that we do without judgment to
It'd
you
be a
guys.
lot easier for men to be their best selves
Yes.
if they were allowed to truly be themselves.
Yes. And I just was
If he was
telling
allowed
someone
to
that the
feel
other
every
day.
emotion that came like women do,
Yeah.
without it being an issue, then it'd be easier to process your stresses.
Yep.
It'd be easier to invest in conflict resolution, being able to talk things out instead of having to resort to, as I said, the threat of violence, you know what I'm
Threat of
saying, or
violence.
actual violence. You know what I'm saying? Like those wouldn't have to be the immediate tools. Or self-isolation wouldn't have to be the immediate tool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You would be able to communicate better, which benefits everybody, but especially these women that want to be with us or that are in our lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, give us that kind of room, man.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to everybody dealing with grief. And yes, I'm gonna definitely shout out, the men I know dealing with grief. My nephew, every dude who's, just passed Mother's Day without his mom. You know what I'm saying? Shout out especially to my cousin, Reggie, Coach Reg, as you may know him, from the B&B on the Clock podcast. He lost his mom around Mother's Day, like really close to it.
Sad.
So like, that was the last Mother's Day he got to have with her. And I know it's a heavy burden on him and it's a lot to deal with, but he too is invested in therapy. So cuz shout out to you for having the courage to, go ahead and seek that help. I know you feel like you can't vent to people, you can't talk to people, and people are trying to tell you different. I ain't finna argue with your stubborn ass nigga. I ain't gonna try to convince you that you can vent to me. You know what my number is.
You know what it is.
So I ain't sitting there trying to beg you and none of that shit or try to convince you. What I will do is continue to pray for you as always and commend you on going to therapy because at least you're talking to somebody, and that's what matters to me is that you're getting it out. You know what I mean? You're not holding it in. You're not carrying that all on yourself. So seeking, to take care of your mental health, much respect for that. For sure. And to everybody else going through similar things. My older brother Junior, I'm saying, I'm sure he's mourning, in his own way. Biological father, I'm sure that dickhead is mourning in his own way. You know what I'm saying? Uncles, cousins, all that. I'm sure they're mourning in their own.
For me, I just want to say, because Art said something the other day about kind of like what changed the course of things. And what he said was me showing compassion for what he was dealing with. So, ladies, try to show these men some compassion because it's really not easy for them to put themselves out there for whatever reason. So, show some compassion, have that sympathy, exercise empathy because it's hard out here. Yes, it's hard for us, but it's just as hard for them. And we need to stop competing in the arena of emotions.
Jesus Christ.
And start understanding that we on the same playing field and the game is rigged and it's not fair. And we need to start supporting these men and men. Y'all niggas need to start supporting women and they emotional creatures and whatnot, and just understand that. And it's okay for you to be emotional. Like, stop acting like that's not what it is. So,
yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact. So this has been another deep, episode of Life Be Life podcast. But like that's really what we're here for. Like that's why it's called Life Be Life, man. Yeah. Like it's really we kind of want to get to the bottom of things. So I'm glad this had come up to, help us discuss what to do with grief.
Like, what's necessary.
What to do with a person who's grieving. what to do with a person who doesn't know how to grieve. Like, you know, these are things where, like me said, compassion, grace, patience, understanding, all these kind of things is what's going to be able to help that person be able to get to the other side of the grief. And to understand that you can't put a clock on somebody's grief. Me said it took her the better part of 20 years. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's taken me 13 myself with my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I'll be able to properly grieve Nasir's death until I leave this office. Because it's still in me. I still have to deal with the anxiety of anytime a customer get loud, how I feel about them. I want to go on offense. You know what I mean? I don't want to just be, I want to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, dealing with that kind of PTSD and shit like that. I throw this basketball tournament, and now there's one more person who I have to, you know, put on there who shouldn't have had to go out like that.
Yeah.
So all these kind of things, you know what I mean, you can't really put a time stamp on or expectations on. You just got to be there for them.
Yeah.
In the best way you possibly can. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you again for stopping and kicking it with us, man. You know, on behalf of Big Mish, aka Mimi the Goddess, on behalf of A.C.E, and my brother, y'all know who he be.
Yeah.
And for sure, on behalf of your favorite coach, thank you for stopping in and kicking it with us. Feel free to come back. This is episode 4, so there's 3 episodes before it. Go check each one out. You know what I'm saying? We still got more coming. Like I said, there was a delay. There was, you know, I needed my time to get myself together. And I'm still getting myself together, but I'm here enough.
It's a process, and we ain't got nothing but time. So
it's nothing but time. But I appreciate y'all support and love in advance. You know what I mean? Definitely show love on the podcast, though. Sure. Okay. Well, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify. Hey, rating on Spotify. Give us them damn stars. Stop fucking playing.
Man. Hit YouTube up. Comment, like, share.
Comment. Do all that. Follow us on Instagram. That's Life B. Okay. The letter B, not B-E, the letter B, Lifing. Okay. Check us out there on Instagram. Give us any comments, concerns, critiques, all of that. We with it. All right, man. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Be smart, be safe, but stay dangerous.
Yes.
Be respectful.
Be gracious.
Be great. Yeah, say it though. Say it though. Be gracious, and most certainly be good to those you pass as much as possible, and be good to yourselves.
For sure.
Y'all have a good night.